Welcome to the Hidden Corners. Tonight we are going to be reading a story sent in by one of our listeners. I want to give a big thank you to those of you that have sent us stories. And if you'd like us to read your story, you can email it to thehiddencorners.story@gmail.com. The story tonight is called Terror of the Night by E.D. Testerman. Eric's books are available on Amazon, and I'll put the link to his author page in the description so you can check out his site. I want to thank Eric for sending this in to us, and I hope you'll enjoy his story. Terror of the Night by E.D. Testerman. Alan Peters was riding his horse late one fall night. It was around midnight, and the air was cool. The leaves were changing colors, and the faint smell of earth and woods filled the surroundings. Alan's old nag, Sarah, was moping along. Alan could hear her hooves clacking on the cobblestone road. It was like a tune all on its own, click-clop, click-clop. Alan rocked back and forth in his saddle. His eyes were heavy, and her side-to-side motion made it hard to stay awake. Alan had been in town at the governor's masquerade party. The governor often threw parties at his mansion. Alan was one of the wealthiest landowners in Virginia and was often sought by the mundane, so-called nobles. He was not very liked by most. He had freed his slaves when his family was mysteriously killed one fall night, and he was left the family plantation. He kept no white foreman. Charlie was the oldest black on his plantation and knew how the farm worked. Although Alan was not very well liked, everyone wanted to be on his good side. He had more land and money than all the owners and governor combined. He supplied the Americas, Britain, and France with cotton, tobacco, and timber. The governor had a beautiful daughter, Mary, 20 years of age. Alan and Mary fancied each other. They often went from the crowds of nobles to talk and be alone. They felt the same in so many ways on so many things. Alan's mind drifted to the thought of Mary. Her smile could brighten the darkest of nights. She always smelled of lavender and rose petals. Her skin was soft and felt like silk. Alan was brought back to reality when he heard a wolf howl in the distance. His horse, Sarah, shuddered and began to walk faster. She was snorting and was very uneasy. Another howl rang out, and it was much closer. Sarah darted off at a fast run. Alan fought to remain in the saddle and to gain control of Sarah. Alan had had Sarah for 15 years, and she'd never acted like this. They had heard wolves howl many times, and she'd never really paid attention to them. This time was different, and this time she was scared. Alan noticed that the nighttime noises in the woods had gone silent. The silence was eerie and unsettling. He had never heard the woods this silent before. His body's hair stood up, and an unsettling chill came over him. He nudged Sarah, trying to get her to go faster. He felt the sensation that he needed to be out of those woods. Sarah was panting heavily. She was tiring, and Alan knew she could not hold this pace long. They were about a mile from the plantation, and he knew they needed to reach it for safety. Out of nowhere, Alan was knocked from his horse. As he was blacking out, he could hear Sarah whine in pain. Alan woke after a spell and saw this massive wolf on 2 legs eating his horse, Sarah. Alan tried to grab his pistol but passed out again. After a while, Alan woke again, and he saw Mary clambering over him, trying to check on him. Her face and clothes were covered in blood, and she looked worried. Alan fought with all his might to utter this to her. "Mary, run! There is a Alan passed out again. Alan was awakened with the morning sun. He slowly and painfully sat up. He was back at home and in his bed. Confusion began to cloud his mind. Mary opened his bedroom door. and she looked at him. Alan noticed that she was clean now and had new clothes on. Alan's eyes grew large as he began to wonder. He went to move, and his chest rang out in pain. Groaning, he grabbed for his chest. "Easy, Alan, you are hurt," said Mary. Alan had fear in his eyes as he recalled the night before. "Alan, why do you fear me?" asked Mary. Alan just sat there and stared at her, not saying a word. "I will explain everything once you are healed," said Mary. After a couple of days, Alan was fully healed. How could this be? I should still be healing, thought Alan. Alan removed his bandages, and there before him, on his chest, were 4 long scars across his chest. Fear overtook him. They looked like claw marks. Had he been attacked as well? How did Mary know where he was, and how did she have blood all over her? Mary walked through the door. She lowered her head. "Alan, we need to talk," she said. "Alan, I was attacked in the backyard about a month ago. There were 2 werewolves. I survived when my father and some men shot them. They ran off into the woods, and I never saw them again. I healed rapidly. The curse was transferred to me. Only you know of this. I have been hunting the 2 werewolves down. I had read that if I killed the one who made me, it would lift my curse." Alan looked at her. "If what you say is true, then why did you attack me?" "I was on the scent of the werewolves when I came upon you. I noticed at the last second that you were not who I was searching for. I pulled my attack at the last second, but sadly still scratched you," said Mary. "If what you say is true, then why did you kill and eat Sarah?" asked Alan. "Sarah had broken her leg, so I ended her misery. I am truly sorry about that, Alan," said Mary. Alan looked down. "Well, what do we do now?" "Help me to hunt the werewolves down and end our curse," said Mary. "I cannot, for if what you say is true, then they are my mother and father. We need to find who cursed them and free us all," said Alan. Mary agreed, and they became hunters together. Some say they still roam the woods to this day. They are still hunting the original werewolf who changed their lives. So it could be them if the woods go silent on a fall night. So take care and keep a wary eye, for you never know what is in the woods.